What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon MLB DFS video. It is Monday. Unfortunately, it's Monday. It is May 20th, and we are back with another video. If you've never been to the channel before, hopefully you're in for a treat. Now, we do things a little bit differently. As you can see, we're going to go through every single game today. So there are 12 games. We're going to go through them all. And we're going to look at the pitching, we're going to look at the bats, we're going to look at everything. So if you have any questions, always get those down below. You can always find our information. In the description of this video is today's article, which is right here. Click that link. That helps the channel out immensely. Clicking on the ads helps the channel out immensely as well. We have our link to our Discord channel, so you can check out our Discord. We're trying to get it more active, sharing more ideas, sports bets, DFS, whatever it is, check that out. And if you've never been here before, we have giveaways every single day. We have 2 giveaways every single day. The first one, if the video gets at least 50 likes and you've left a comment, you have a chance to win a free week of FTA+. That's a week of MLB, PGA, NASCAR, and MMA. If the video gets at least 100 likes and you've left a comment, you will have a chance to win a free month. 150 likes is a free year, and 200 or more likes on a video is a free lifetime pass. So if you've never been here before, or if you have been here before, you know you have a chance to win multiple times. The second way to win, in this video somewhere, I will say a keyword and have that keyword ready to go. Type it in, leave that as a comment. That will count as your comment towards the first one, and you could win twice in the same day. We've had multiple people win. We've had multiple people win back-to-back days. We've never had someone win both of the giveaways. So we are going to start the video off first with the giveaway. Yesterday's video got 103 likes, so someone will win a free month right off the bat, and then we'll go right into everyone who left a keyword, which was blue yesterday. So right now, we are going to see who the winner of the free month is, and it could be you, and you can win every single day until you win a lifetime pass. See you looking 2081. Congratulations. If you see this, like it, and then email me dfshelp1@gmail.com. That's dfshelp, the number 1 at gmail.com, with a username and email you would like on the website, and we will get you set up for your free month of FTA+. Now, come back tomorrow because you could win. You could just pile on the months. You just got to come to the video, you got to like the video, and you got to leave a comment to be in the running. And these are all the people that put the word blue in yesterday, and this will see who the winner of the free week is. We've never had the same person win. Let's see if today is the day. Harold Haas 6779 is the winner. Congratulations, Harold. Again, like this and email me dfshelp1@gmail.com with a username and email you would like to use on the website, or if you already have a username on the website, let me know the username. So that being said, we do have something I haven't seen much. I really haven't seen what we're about to see. So we've got an early game makeup game here with the Padres Braves, which is on an early only slate. Then we have the regular game that was scheduled on here as well. So usually you only get one, but today we get both. So we're going to look at both of them at the end of the video. Currently we are running 10,000 simulations, and after 10,000 simulations run, we're going to give you the top 20 bats. Those will change a little bit, but you can check out FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. MLB has a ton of information down there. Check it out. Some of it's free. Some of it's part of FTA+. You can sign up for FTA+. It's $10 a week, or it's $30 for a month if you want to save $10. That includes current MLB, NASCAR, PGA, and MMA like we've talked about. We had a pretty damn good MMA weekend. And I'll leave it at that. If you didn't check it out, I highly suggest you check out the MMA content. I'm not going to do videos because I will murder most of the names, but we had a pretty good day. So, that being said, let's dig in. Padres, Braves. Now, the Braves are a good hitting team. Dylan Cease is really good. 31 plate appearances. He hasn't seen him a ton. He's held him to 200 batting average, so not bad. Pretty good outing from him when he's seen them. 19.4 K percentage, so a little bit lower. The Braves bats, when they're on, but when they're off, they're it's just kind of crazy that they're not putting up the numbers that we would have expected from them. But we look at these pitchers. You got Cease. I mean, with this, I think the only pitcher I wouldn't use would be Fetty. And I guess you could throw him in there for tournaments because, Toronto's not the best. But love Dylan Cease in this lineup. Love Reynaldo Lopez. Love Jose Barrios. Barrios is the picture of the video and article. The White Sox are a bad team. I don't think we really need to jump into the only team that I would not be using for this early slate would be the White Sox bats. I love Barrios here. He's probably my favorite. He's got the best matchup here, and he's 7,600. On DraftKings, you got to use 2. Honestly, I think the top 3 pitchers, you could use any of them. The bats, obviously, we know the bats. That makes sense. San Diego bats would be Tatis, Cronenworth, Machado. These are the ones you want to get a little bit lower on some of these bats. Depending if he's in there, Campusano could be an option. Batting 264. It just depends if he's going to start. Tyler Wade would be a cheap option, but it's very sporadic when he gets in, and now he's playing the party play with the Yankees. He's not starting. I mean, he started the season, but he's getting one at bat. It's not worth it. That's the problem. I don't even think Rosario's up anymore. Yeah, he's in AAA. So they sent him down. Higashioka would be a cheap catching option. It's honestly between Campusano and Higashioka at 3,000, but he's not doing much. Bogarts is batting 220. He's really fallen off. Ha-Seong Kim would be one I'd look at. Jurickson Profar. But again, like Tatis, Machado, Cronenworth, they're the most expensive hitters on the team. They're the ones that are performing the best. It's outside of the big names, like the other guys, you don't know if they're going to start. Jackson Merrill obviously is an option there at 3,700. Braves bats, that makes sense. Ozuna at the top, I would look at Michael Harris with Darno on the IL or day-to-day and Murphy on the IL. It opens up Chadwick Tromp would be a cheap option if he's in there. Played yesterday. We'll see if he plays. Had a hit there, had 7 fantasy points. So it could be Chadwick Tromp. That would be a very cheap option. Zach Short would be a cheap option for you. David Fletcher was betting with Ohtani, who wasn't betting. So he's probably out. Probably not going to be playing. Riley's day-to-day. Matt Olson obviously makes sense. Ozzie Albies, I'm surprised he's all the way at the top there. Orlando Arcia, if he's in there. Jared Kelenic would be a cheap $2,800 option if he is in there. And then Toronto bats, it's basically all the top here. You go Alejandro Kirk for a cheap catching option against Fetty. Dan Vogelbach, if he's in there, will be a cheap option as well. So that's basically the breakdown of the early slate that we see. Now we see a turbo slate with only 2 games here. Chris Sale, Ben Lively, Tyler Meagle off the IL. See, fresh off the IL. Randy Vasquez. Vasquez got a 6.32 ERA. I would be stacking the Braves against him. I would be using these 2 that I would be using that I feel comfortable about, Chris Sale and Ben Lively. I don't really want anything to do with Randy Vasquez. I don't really want anything to do with Meagle. I guess you could throw Meagle in there for tournaments just in case, but I'd rather take the bats in this one. So the Braves bats, again, it doesn't matter who. This is the one where check out who plays the first game and check out who plays the second game. Most likely we're going to see some changes. With the second lineup slate coming out, it should come out kind of early. Take some value in that. With the Braves, that's where I would go with. San Diego, I'm not going to be using San Diego bats. I'm going to be using Chris Sale as my pitcher. And then I'll be using Ben Lively. I don't want anything to do with Meagle. I will be using Cleveland bats. So I will be using Jose Ramirez. I'll be using Andres Jimenez, David Fry, Josh Naylor, and Bo Naylor would be the top ones. And again, it just depends. Wait for the lineup to come out. Not 100% sure. Florial, that could be a sneaky option if he bats leadoff. He's just been very inconsistent, and he's batting 183. You've got Tyler Freeman would make a little bit of sense. Will Brennan, I don't mind. We got Rocchio, I don't mind him. And Austin Hedges, if he's in there. I doubt he plays today, but he could. He did play yesterday. It's very sporadic, about every 4 or 5 days. just to give Bo Naylor a day off. So in this order, I do like the Braves bats, then the Cleveland bats in this little weird 2-game afternoon little turbo slate that we won't have any. We're not going to have any lineups for this turbo slate, but we will have lineups for the main slate today. So no early lineups, but I wanted to break down the 4 games that are early. So then the early slate actually starts about 25-30 minutes before the normal start time of 6:05 with Miami at Milwaukee. Joe Ross versus Ryan Weathers. I would be looking at a little bit of Joe Ross for tournaments. I would not be looking at for cash. And then I would be looking at Milwaukee bats here. Obviously, we love William Contreras against a lefty. Absolutely dominates lefties. I would look at him. He's the best hitter on the team right now. I would look at him. Another one, if you can fit him in there. Unfortunately, you can't fit both, but Gary Sanchez, if you're making multiple different Milwaukee lineups, Gary Sanchez has to be in there. He kills lefties as well. And the last time we made a video about them against lefty, they both went yard. Unfortunately, you could play both of them on FanDuel. You could play one as your catcher / first base. You could play one as your utility. So on FanDuel, if you are stacking Milwaukee, I would get both of them in there. Willy Adames is another one that I would look at against a lefty. Jackson Chourio, I would look at. Bryce Terang, you want to get a little bit lower. Joey Ortiz or Blake Perkins, I don't mind them either. I don't want Ryan Weathers, and Joe Ross is a tournament-only pick. I don't want Ryan Weathers, and looking at, Jesus Sanchez maybe, Otto Lopez, Jake Berger, Josh Bell being a switch hitter, I don't mind him. You could look at Brian De La Cruz. I think an under-owned stack could be Miami today. I don't know if I'll have any exposure to them. I'd rather stick with Milwaukee bats. Next game, Twins at the Nationals. He has a good matchup here, but Pablo Lopez has gotten hit by the Nats in his career, 58 plate appearances, 300 batting average. Mitchell Parker has never faced this team before, but we dig in a little bit. Pablo Lopez is 9,500, coming off a very bad game, almost one of his worst games of the year. Gave up 10 hits against the Yankees, 3 earned runs, only 3 strikeouts. That's after striking out 10 batters against Seattle. He has not faced Washington this year. His price, maybe throw him in tournaments. I do not trust him in cash. I'd rather have other options here. Minnesota, they got swept by the Yankees. Their pitching has been off a little bit. Lopez at 9,500 has almost a 4 ERA. That's a little high for me. I'm probably not using Lopez at all. We look at Mitchell Parker. He's down here at 7,500. Game log wise, he really hasn't done a ton. Has not hit value. He had a huge game against Houston, and that was it. It's been downhill since then. I'm probably just focused on the bats in this game more than anything else. So if I look at the bats, the Twins bats against him, Carlos Santana, I would look at being a switch hitter. Julian, Byron Buxton being a right-handed hitter, I would definitely look at him. Manny Margot usually smashes lefties. He is an option for me. Willie Castro. Honestly, Ryan Jeffers hits lefties well, and Jose Miranda if both of them are in there. So the bats that you could look at a little bit of Correa, but he's kind of expensive for his value points per dollar that has not really occurred overall this year. Ryan Jeffers would be a sneaky catching option today against a lefty. Jose Miranda would be a sneaky infield option too. So I'm probably not using either pitcher. I'm probably just using bats in this one. And then if we look at the Nationals bats, you could go very cheap. You go Joey Gallo, but again, don't trust him a ton. Eddie Rosario, Jesse Winker, CJ Abrams. You could look at Luis Garcia and Riley Adams. Just depends on the lineup that comes out of there. There's just other teams that I'd rather stack a little bit more, but I honestly don't mind either of them. I'm not using either pitcher. Doesn't hit value enough, and he's just too expensive for me. Even in this video I don't trust Pablo Lopez at that price, being the third highest priced pitcher. Move to the Red Sox at the Rays. You got Tanner Houck versus Taj Bradley. Houck, 66 plate appearances, a 246 batting average. Bradley, 33 plate appearances, a 222. I don't mind either of these pitchers. I think Houck is more of your cash. I think Bradley is more of your tournament. Looking at this, though, I would rather focus on the Boston bats. Devers has been absolutely on fire lately. Tyler O'Neill, the same thing. Jarren Duran, William Abreu. Those would be the main ones. Depending on who else is in there, Vaughn Grissom could be a cheap option. Dom Smith, if he's starting against a righty, he could be a cheap option as well. And we look at Tanner Houck, 91. His price is up there too. It's been about the same, but he just faced this team his last start. 3 runs, one of them earned 7 Ks. Tampa Bay's, they put up 4 runs total and beat them. But I don't trust Tampa Bay enough. I think he has a good matchup here. Then you got Taj Bradley, 8,000. Just faced Boston his last start, gave up 200 runs, 19.7. I think both of these, like I said, Houck is your cash, Bradley is your tournament. I'd rather focus on the Boston bats we talked about. Not a huge fan of the Tampa Bay bats much, and I personally probably won't have any Tampa Bay bats at all. Moving to the next game, the Mariners at the Yankees. You got Logan Gilbert versus Marcus Stroman. Gilbert, 59 plate appearances, 245. The Yankees are just hitting on all cylinders right now. They're hitting at home, and Marcus Stroman, while he has some bad games, he's got some really good games as well. 39 plate appearances in his career against them, 161 batting average. The strikeout rate is low, 10.3, but I would rather focus on the Yankees bats. I would rather focus on Marcus Stroman. 7-game winning streak, second best record in the MLB, best record in the American League, and somehow Stroman is less than Houck at 8,300. 3.33 ERA, coming off a really good game against Minnesota, went 6 innings, only had 2 strikeouts. That's the fact. 2 strikeouts, 3 walks, but was effective enough to get 18.5. Had he had 5 or more strikeouts, we're looking at 25 fantasy points. Against Houston, didn't do well. Had a couple of stinkers. I'm looking at Stroman here. At home, he's got a 395, so it's a little bit up there at home, but the way the team's been going with the vibes, you can't kill the vibes. I'm going with Stroman there. Gilbert being up here at 9,300. Bad game against Minnesota, 9 hits allowed, 8 earned runs. Obviously, this Yankees team is better than Minnesota. That was at Minnesota. Splits-wise, on the road, 3.66, so a worse ERA. He's given up 5 home runs, 1 more start. So, yeah, I would be looking at the Yankees bats. Obviously, Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, Stanton, Rizzo. You want to get lower. Trevino's been on fire, either Trevino or Austin Wells, depending on the catcher. John Birdie, I would be interested in a cheaper John Birdie if he's in there. I don't know if he's going to be starting. Oswaldo Cabrera might be starting. You could use him. Really, anyone in this lineup has been hitting for the Yankees. We go in that direction. Seattle bats, I really don't. Cal Raleigh in this. You could look at Cal Raleigh. You could look at J-Rod. Josh Rojas at the top. I don't mind him. Jorge Polanco, but he's not been doing much. Dylan Moore being a cheaper option if he's starting as shortstop. I don't know if he will be. These are the kind of ones that I would look at. But I personally would have a little bit more exposure to the Yankees over the Mariners in this game. Next game we've got is Reese Olson versus Michael Wacha. It's a pitcher's park in Kansas City. Reese Olson, 58 plate appearances, 196. He's had success against them. Michael Wacha, 78 plate appearances, 319. So we dig into the numbers a little bit. Let's go a little bit deeper just to see where they're at. So Reese Olson, 6,900. Game logs, he's coming off like 4 really good starts. Just faced Kansas City on April 26th. Went 7 innings, gave up only 1 earned run, so the bullpen came in and blew it for him. Had 8 strikeouts, 26.2. He's faced him 1 time. He has had success, and that was at home. Now, this is a pitcher's park. I don't mind Reese Olson, especially at 6,900. I know that Kansas City has been raking this year. I completely understand that, but he has had success against them already. Tournament-wise, I don't mind, and especially at 6,900, I think he probably should be a little bit higher than that, but we'll take what we can get there. Then the bats-wise, Or we look at Michael Wacha. He is right below him at 6,600. His faced Detroit once this year, 5.2 innings, 4 earned runs, 6.35 ERA. I would not use Michael Wacha. I would use Reese Olson, and I kind of like the bats in this one. Riley Green. Love me some Riley Green in this stadium. Matt Vierling, Winfield Perez, Spencer Torkelson would be the top ones. Value, Mark Canha if he's in there, but I usually like to use Mark Canha against lefties a little bit more. Kerry Carpenter would be one. Colt Keith or Zach McKinstry, depending. Again, we are so far from when the lineups come out. We got to wait to see who's going to be in this lineup here. Jake Rogers could be another one. It's honestly, I don't know if he's going to be starting or Carson Kelly. It's probably going to be Jake Rogers. Would be a cheap catching option today if you don't want to pay up. If for whatever reason you think that Detroit's going to, Reese Olson's going to get lit up, obviously Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, Michael Garcia have been the catalysts for this Royals offense. Amazing offense that I was not expecting. Those would be ones. Cheaper options, you could look at Michael Massey, you could look at Kyle Isbell, Freddie Furman or Dayron Blanco could be cheaper options if you don't want to pay the high salaries of like Witt and Perez, and if you don't trust Reese Olson. But in my eyes, I'm probably going a little bit more Reese Olson in Detroit than I would Michael Wacha in Kansas City today. And this is all dependent on weather. We kind of look at the weather. It looks like we should be good with weather. Now it'll break down to how the wind is blowing. So on our cheat sheet, we do have a weather tab showing where the wind is blowing, what direction, and some rankings of how hitters rankings or pitcher rankings. So definitely check that out if you have not. Under the MLB tab right here, and then you go, and we've got a ton. We've got simulations, projections. You go down to the cheat sheet if you want to see what I'm talking about. Then we got the Orioles at the Cardinals. You got Dean Kramer versus Sonny Gray. So Dean Kramer here, 7,700. 3.72 ERA, has not faced St. Louis this year. Coming off he's actually had 4 good starts. Had a bad start, couple of bad starts sprinkled in there. St. Louis, they've been hitting. But will Dean Kramer be the one that stops them? And then Sonny Gray is 10,000. We look at Sonny Gray. He's got a matchup here against Baltimore. In his career, he's held him to a 169 batting average. But he hasn't seen some of these young guns. That's my problem. Being 10,000, we're looking at least 2.5 times the value. So you're looking at least 25 fantasy points. He did get that against the White Sox. You're supposed to. He got that against the Mets. He got that against there and there. But he did come off 5.9 against Milwaukee. 19.5 against LA. They've dropped him down. Tournaments, Sonny Gray I'm okay with, but he is very expensive. I'm probably priced out of him. That's my problem. If you're looking at bats in this one, depending on the bats you're looking for, if you don't believe in Sonny Gray and you want to look at Baltimore bats, they're going to be expensive. That's just what's going to happen. The expensive ones are going to be Henderson, Mountcastle, Rushman. You could look at Ryan O'Hearn, who's really turned things around since coming over to this team. You could look at Jorge Mateo if he's in there. You could look at Cedric Mullins, although Cedric Mullins is down in the order. So we love when we're building stacks or we're building lineups. You love to get like the top 4 batters in a game because it's almost a guaranteed 4 at-bats minimum. When you get down to like Cedric Mullins at the 9 hole, if they're not hitting well, he might see 3 at-bats. He might see, it just depends. It's how to build around. Jordan Westburg would be another one I'd look at. Colton Cowser has cooled off a little bit, but he had a huge stretch of 2 weeks of fantastic baseball. Everyone was on him. He's dropped in price a little bit. You could look at him if you don't trust that. If you don't trust Dean Kramer and you want to look at some Cardinals bats, Goldie, Ivan Herrera would be a cheap catching option today. Alec Burleson, Lars Nootbaar, Michael Ciani, if you want to go very cheap. Mason Wynn to go down there a little bit. Matt Carpenter, I'm okay with. I don't love. Brendan Donovan would be another one that you could entertain. Not the best option. So if I were to choose this game, I would rather focus on Baltimore bats and Dean Kramer is my pitcher. I don't know if I will have exposure to this game, though. Then we got the Angels at the Astros. Reed Detmers, who's really started off well, was very high priced. Now he's down to 7,300, 5.19 ERA, has had terrible games in a row. Like, he started off well, 3 straight games well, and then it's just gone downhill. I would be looking at I would be looking at Framber Valdez and the Astros bats. I would be looking at Jose Altuve at the top, Jeremy Pena, Alex Bregman, Jordan. Jordan really has struggled this year, but he hits lefties well. Kyle Tucker hits lefties very well. Those would be the bats that I'd look at. I would be focused on Astros, depending on the lineup that comes out. Kyle Tucker and Jordan are the 2 lefties I would look at, and then I would just load up on the righty bats. And then I would look at Framber Valdez against the Angels. I want nothing to do with the Angels bats outside of O'Hoppe, Taylor Ward, Joe Adell. I don't want Reed Detmers. And then the final game, Diamondbacks at the Dodgers. Mantiply versus Yamamoto. Is he an opener? Because it's got Ciccone here. Okay, so I wouldn't use Ciccone. Obviously, I would be focused on Yamamoto and the Dodgers bats. Depending on if it is Mantiply, Mookie Betts, I think he had a day off yesterday, he had a day off on Saturday after leadoff home run on Friday, of course. Mookie, Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez against a lefty. You can't go wrong with the Dodgers stack. So depending on if it is Mantiply, if it is Ciccone, if it's both of them, I'm still looking at Yamamoto. I'm still looking at a Dodgers stack. And that's it. That's the breakdown of all of the games on today's slate. Congratulations to the winners. The word of the day, or the keyword, is savant. So type savant down below. That is the keyword of the day. And we are going to give you the top 20 bats as of right now. These are through 10,000 simulations. We will update it on the website, and then we will put 20,000 simulations about an hour or 2 before the main slate locks tonight. So, number 1 right now, Francisco Lindor. Number 2, DJ Stewart. 3 is Kyle Tucker. 4 is Bobby Witt Jr. 5 is Brandon Nimmo. 6 is Riley Green. 7 is Ronald Acuna. 8 is Ohtani. 9 is Varsho. 10 is Mookie Betts. 11 is Jordan Westburg. 12, Tyler Freeman. 13, Jose Ramirez. 14, Willy Adames. 15, Winfield Perez. 16, Josh Naylor. 17, Jose Altuve. 18, Ozzy Albies. 19, Josh Rojas. And number 20 is Mark Canha versus Michael Wacha. Now, looking at this, I do love a Houston stack against Detmers. I love a Dodger stack against Mantiply. I love Cleveland stack against Tyler Meagle. Now, if I were to look, and this is something new, and this is not just a guarantee, but we're looking at Cleveland, Houston, Busch Stadium, and the Yankee Stadium for home runs. I'm looking at Jose Ramirez for a home run. I'm looking at most likely Stanton a little bit for home runs, just depending on who's got great matchups, how the weather's going, all of that. That's where I would be focused on. Kyle Tucker against Detmers, would not be surprised if he hits a home run. Definitely like those odds. Cheaper ones with a little bit better odds here, Willy Adames versus Ryan Weathers. So, a little bit different. If you like the video, hit the like button. We will be back tomorrow. If this is the first time you've been here, welcome. Hopefully you come back. Hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 10,000 YouTube subscribers in the near future. That's what I've got. Good luck on today's slate. And as always, let's bring home some bacon. Peace.